Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Okay. So today what we're going to talk a little bit about is immigration, citizenship, the 14th Amendment, and Chicano Indianism. And this kind of gets into the Latinx and Chicanx and sort of Hispanic community that we've also that maybe many of us are from, but really sort of breaking down what it really means to sort of have the citizenship issue that sort of comes up throughout the especially within like politics and whatnot. But what the reading breakdown really does for this week is it kind of highlights the legal system from the 19th to the 20th century and presented the legal statuses of Mexican Americans due to their racial appearance. Um, and what we see is the Mexican Americans who looked Native American, right, were more discriminated against than Mexican Americans who were categorized as whites, right? It wasn't like this very like scientific methodology, right? It was really based upon like how you were born and what you look like. And this is an example, and sort of talking about like these social constructs of race when we're talking about racial formation with Omi and Wynot, those pieces that we read earlier, and seeing how, right, this is completely sort of subjective, right? Uh, and also looking at how we see like the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right, which is sort of this large doctrine that was created and defined through the United States, between the United States and Mexico, and how this essentially again sort of formulates this notion of even these treaties really being sort of not being um, not not being sort of followed through on the premise of sort of the language that was being used for the treaty. So it's essential to understand and sort of look through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, but also realizing that it's essential to understand, right, these decisions that were made that also impacted Mexican Americans and indigenous communities, right? There's like this distinct line that I think we create with indigeneity and being Mexican, but in reality, there's a lot more sort of complexity there, right? So I like this quote here from the piece, which states that, ironically, the political privileges that the Spanish and Mexican governments had previously given people in the Southwest were abolished by US racial laws. As a result, the Mexican mestizos and Indians entered a new racial caste-like order in which their civil rights were limited. Given the nature of the US racial system and its laws, the conquered Mexican population learned that it was politically expedient to assert their Spanish ancestry, otherwise they were susceptible to being treated as American Indians. So what we're looking at is, at this historical blueprint suggests, right down here, it became politically expedient for American Indians to pass for Mexican or mestizos if they wished to escape the full impact of discriminatory Indian legislation. This is the Menchaca piece that we're talking about, or that you're supposed to read for this week. And so what we're looking at is like there's these like racialized hierarchies that are then created within our society. And this is really important for us to understand how, right, the way that you looked really mattered, right? And this is what we call as a term like colorism, right? How certain people were denied citizenship and allowed citizenship as a result of the way that they looked. What we are also presented is with the 14th Constitutional Amendment. And again, here are the details that cover the citizenship rights and aspects of citizenship. And looking at this article, or at least the Constitution and the 14th Amendment, right, we have to realize that Native Americans were denied citizenship, and these sentiments were also applied to Mexican Americans. And this was not allowed. It was still passed. Right. We also have this really important case with the Wong Kim Ark Act, which provides citizenship to those born in the U.S., yet were subject to this interpretation, right? So this is a monumental act, but also realizing that not everyone sort of followed through with this notion of, hey, if you're born here, you're automatically gain citizenship either. So we have to look at things again critically, even though it's a really important case, especially for Asian Americans. You have Mexican Americans where naturalization was a difficult task, right? So naturalization meaning becoming an American citizen. Right? And you got to think that how Mexican Americans are considered mixed race. And as a result of this consideration, right, there were some privileges that were obviously removed or denied to them. So then, you also had these sort of segregation laws that were in place too, that really made things difficult for folks that were trying to like navigate these spaces when, say you have a relative that projects as white and you yourself might not, right? And so you have like this caste system that really is subjective not by like family name or anything like that, but by your sort of physical appearance, right? And so there's some literature on like when we look at, this notion of like whiteness and how it's really important for, especially during this time, to sort of look and like you were Anglo, right? Essentially. So again, there's this like long history, that dates back to like the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, all the way up to like what we see with sort of these sort of even revolutionary acts like the One Kim Ark Act. And so really delving into this literature will I think help us get a better understanding of what it really means to be, or Latinx or Mexican American too as well, and sort of melding that together with what it means to be sort of indigenous as well.